What is up, guys? And today we're going to be doing a live reaction to top 10 real ghost stories that will shock you to death. Now, I don't know how to put like our faces that you're seeing now up in the corner and the actual video down, like the other YouTubers do when they're playing games and stuff. I don't know. Me and Paul don't know how to do this yet. So you're just gonna see us reacting to this video in case anything scares us, or like jumping out of the way or something. I don't know. But anyways, guys, without further ado, let's get started.
Presents 10 real ghost stories that will shock you to death.
10.
A few years ago, a guy was visiting his brother and his family, who lived in a very old Victorian house. He was snuggling with my niece on a futon in the playroom when suddenly, in the middle of the night, the TV turned on, full blast, with a static screen. The 3-year-old niece jumped out of bed and ran to the TV, shutting it off. When he asked her how she knew the TV would turn on, she shrugged, saying, "They turn it on every night at this time," and fell right back to sleep.
9.
A girl was home alone watching TV when she saw something moving in the master bedroom. She strained her eyes to see a woman walking out of the closet to the other side of the room. She stopped, looked at her, put her finger to her lips.
Oh, it's buffering.
Then turned around. There was blood on her face, and the back of her head was missing. She vanished back into the closet. She moved when it was found that the mysterious small hole in the ceiling of her bedroom was from a previous tenant who shot himself in that exact spot.
8.
Okay.
A mom and son were working one day in the store they own when her cell phone rang. The caller ID said "home" with their number below it. She looked at her son calmly and asked, "Who's at home?" The father was at work and sister was at college. Their
Buffering. It's because I'm on YouTube, my iPod recording and
grandma,
watching
who
YouTube
used
on
to
this,
live
so
with the
yeah.
parents, had passed away about 6 months prior. But then he remembered they didn't have a home phone because after the grandma passed, the mom shut off the landline since they all had cell phones. When they called the number back, it had been disconnected.
That was just
7.
creepy.
A girl woke up one night having to pee and brought her cell phone to the bathroom. While walking down the hall and texting, she bumped into a girl in a white dress.
Wait, what?
She didn't look up, said sorry, and kept going. It occurred to her moments later that she was home alone and not in her bustling high school. The next day, when her boyfriend came to pick her up for the movies, he asked why she'd been staring at him through the upstairs window and why she'd changed out of her white dress. But she doesn't even own a white dress.
6.
A young woman had a neighbor who was a lovely
This is a
old
bit
man.
creepy.
He would always work in his garden, and she'd walk past his house daily, so spoke often. One day she saw him and said hello, but got no response. Not wanting to bother him, she carried on home. A few days later, she saw a removal van and people outside of his home. She was told that the man had gone hiking a week ago, had a heart attack, and died.
A week ago?
They had just recovered his body. He had been dead for a week, but she had seen him just days earlier.
5.
Again, the buffering. I don't know if this will be able to do this, so if we don't do it, we'll do it in
Once,
part 2.
a mortician was preparing a child for a viewing and felt someone pull his hair. A couple minutes later, he heard a giggle and the behind him door slammed shut. All of his machines stopped and it was dead quiet. After he was done and the body was dressed, he felt a tap on his shoulder and warmth around his middle, approximately where a child would stand if they were hugging you.
4.
I'm buffering, but this is really
A
creepy.
kid used to share a paper route with his brothers and would deliver to a lady named Margie. Since she was old and lived alone, one of them would take the paper inside and check on her. One day, he went in and she was asleep on the bed, so he put the paper on the table and left. The next day, she was asleep again, hadn't opened the paper from the day before. The following day, he went in and Margie was awake. She said she was very happy and held his hand. But the next morning, there were cars outside her house. Apparently, Margie had died in her bed 3 or 4 days before. I had spoken to and hugged her about 24 hours earlier when she was already dead.
3.
Interesting.
As a kid,
This
a
is
young
just
boy
really
lived
weird.
with just his mom.
Yeah.
Every few nights after she went to
Surprising.
bed and turned off all the TVs, he'd hear a man and woman casually having a quiet conversation in the kitchen area. He always had to concentrate really hard to make sure he was actually hearing something because it was so faint he couldn't make out the words. This continued for years, and he thought his mom wouldn't believe him if he told her. After they moved out, he finally told her. She said she'd always experienced the same thing.
2,
As a kid, a young girl's family moved into an apartment where a murder had been committed prior to them living there. Every night, her big sister would make her shut their bedroom window, and when she'd look outside, she'd see 3 faces staring back at her. They had no hair, eyes, or expressions. They'd just stare, but never did anything. After moving out, the family was talking about that apartment, and she mentioned the faces. Her sister turned to her, shocked. She said that she saw them too, and that's why she always asked her to close the window.
1,
When a woman's son was a few months old, she was trying to record his laugh on her phone. She used to bounce him on her knee and say numbers before each bounce. When she played the recording back, you hear the little child laughing as she counts 1, 2, 3, and after she said 3, you could hear a man's voice clearly say 4. There was no one else in the house, and the TV wasn't on. When she played it for her friend, she got the goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Don't forget to like us.
Her last
Right,
eye.
the reason we're laughing is
It was
because
the last
it's showing,
photo.
yeah, it's
She's like-
showing pictures of like people like looking at their phone as if what the hell, and, it's like,
next one.
and then the baby was like,
Because we're only on our 6-minute mark. We've got the 15.
Subscribe for more.
This
like
one.
a 5-minute one.
A 5-minute one.
No, we watched that one.
Oh, yeah.
Then it's the part 2.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2. So that will be the end of the video, guys. The reaction wasn't really that wild because
I
this
know.
video was mostly funny, more not
Yeah,
scary.
some of my face reactions are like, what the hell is going on? But anyways, guys, we will do a part 2 of this. Hopefully we'll find a bit more scarier things. Hopefully not that scary because I might not sleep. Just saying, just saying. Definitely didn't say that. But anyways, guys, peace!
Peace.